Seems like only yesterday. December 31st, 2019. Post Malone fell off the stage in Times Square, someone grabbed the Pope, and they did this to the Burj Khalifa. But while the rest of us were drinking too much and making other bad decisions, it was on that very day that the Chinese government finally got around to informing the World Health Organization that it looked like they had another SARS-like disease on their hands in the city of Wuhan. More troubling still, we now know that this disease had already been surging through European and North American communities for weeks. Potentially, hundreds of people around the world welcomed 2020 without even knowing that they were already infected with the disease that would come to define the year more than any other. But it wasn't just coronavirus. Here's a quick look at how the world was different on December 31st, 2019. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry spent New Year's Eve only a short drive from where I am right now, at David Foster's house just outside Victoria. As far as anyone knew, they had simply jetted out to Vancouver Island for a quick getaway from their usual royal duties of shaking hands, cutting ribbons, and unveiling things. But as we'll soon learn, it's on this trip to Canada that the pair will solidify their plans to abandon their royal titles and become private citizens. Speaking of royalty, the notorious socialite accused of procuring underage girls for Prince Andrew, among other things, spent the last days of 2019 on the lam. Ghislaine Maxwell, the accomplice to the late financier and accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein, is evading an FBI probe by crashing at a series of safe houses throughout Israel and Europe, sources told the New York Post. But in only 6 months, the law will catch up with her when a police raid catches her at her New Hampshire estate. Meanwhile, New Year's Eve is much bleaker for former Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein, who is on house arrest awaiting the beginning of a rape trial to begin in early January. Within only 2 months, Weinstein will be facing the rest of his life in prison. As a bouncer at the Minneapolis nightclub El Nuevo Rodeo, it's quite likely George Floyd spent New Year's Eve keeping the peace among the establishment's drunken revelers. In only a few weeks, the COVID-19 pandemic will force the closure of El Nuevo Rodeo, putting Floyd out of work and on the track towards the events of May 25, 2020, when a 911 call about a suspected counterfeit bill will precipitate Floyd being killed at the hands of a Minneapolis police officer. One of basketball star Kobe Bryant's first actions of 2020 was to issue a tweet commemorating the death of former NBA Commissioner David Stern. As a resident of traffic-heavy Los Angeles, Bryant has adopted the habit of commuting by helicopter in order to have more time to spend with his family. Before January is out, one of these helicopter flights will go down in heavy fog, killing Bryant at age 41. Beirut, Lebanon is renowned for having one of the world's best New Year's Eve celebrations, and December 31st, 2019 was no exception. For 6 years, unbeknownst to most of the city, a warehouse at the Lebanese capital's port has been packed with 2,800 tons of mining explosives seized from a freighter that had been bound for mining operations in Africa. It's not quite a ticking time bomb, but in 8 months, it's the reason that an otherwise forgettable industrial fire will level whole swaths of the city with one of the largest non-nuclear blasts in history. 6 people are aboard the International Space Station as the Earth below celebrates the new year. Since the retirement of the space shuttle in 2011, the world's space agencies have been in the somewhat awkward position of needing to ask Russia every time they need to send astronauts to the International Space Station. But this is going to be the last year where Soviet-designed hardware is the only lifeline to the heavens. On May 30th, 2 NASA astronauts, named Bob and Doug, will make space history by getting to the ISS on a rocket built by this guy.